When is the best time to change your investment strategy? When I first started investing, I used Dave Ramsey's strategy, but later changed my allocations, and now I might want to switch to a target date fund. What do you think about this?
All right. So when is the best time? Here's something I would argue that I think a lot of people miss. I'm actually not a proponent of changing your investment strategy. I don't think you should change your investment strategy. I just think that an investment strategy is something that naturally adjusts through time. It matures. And so if you're someone who's like, oh, I've got this investment strategy where right now I'm doing options. Okay, I'm going to get out of options. I'm doing individual stocks. Okay, I'm going to stop doing individual stocks. I'm going to go start doing crypto. I'm going to start doing... if you find yourself bouncing back and forth, or even from an allocation standpoint, if I could look at your portfolio this year and you were an 80-20 portfolio, 80% risk on, 20% risk off, and I look at it next year and you were a 20-80, 20% risk on, I would argue that you're likely doing it wrong. What should happen is you should define, based on where I am today, my unique circumstances, my age, my risk tolerance, my risk capacity, my goals, my time horizon, based on those things, what portfolio makes sense for me today? And there's a really good chance that the portfolio that makes sense for you today probably made sense for you last year and is probably going to make sense for you next year. And so what happens is as you move through time, it begins to gradually and systematically shift. It's not like you pull the lever and it all changes over. It naturally shifts through time. So when you think about your investment strategy, that's what I would think through. Okay, what end goal am I working towards? What finish line am I moving towards? Where am I at today? And what savings strategy should I be employing to move me along in that path? And really the investing strategy on that course likely should not change a whole lot, and certainly not rapidly at unique and distinct moments in time.
And it usually doesn't have to be an apple cart turnover, because I mean, it's not, look, if you start off at Dave's plan, well, there's going to be some of the funds that are growth funds, there's going to be some that are growth and income, there's going to be some that are international. Mm-hmm. Guess what? A lot of those things will fit into a nice diversified portfolio, and you might even have embedded gains in some of those things. So just to go turn them over because you've gone to a new plan, why not triage your financial life, figure out how you can use those components into your now updated, more modernized, more mature asset allocation that reflects all those things that Bo talked about: risk profile, goals, when you'll use the money. I get frustrated, and I get it. I did the same thing when I first started out. I chased the hot dot, whatever was the most popular thing that people were talking about. So like my first investments ever was like a regional bank fund from John Hancock, Special Equities, which was doing these technology. It was also a John Hancock salesman was selling me all this stuff.
So weird
these B shares.
It was all John Hancock.
They were all B shares
weird.
too. So that I get why people get sold or caught into these trends, but at some point you do need to mature and start asking the why and what's this money. And that's why really when we were designing the financial order of operations, it was so you knew what to do with every dollar, and it was kind of built in. And that's why people pick on us, because we say use those index target retirement funds. But man, oh man, with all the people getting so distracted with all the things that you can put your money into these days, how nice is it to say, hey, how much can you save? When will you need it? Yep. And then there's actually this low-cost option that just does it for you. Now, is that going to be the only investment you'll ever have? No, because by the time your portfolio reaches critical mass, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, you're going to probably realize life is complex enough that you need to go even a step further and figure it out. And that's when you, once again, triage that and figure out how you divide and conquer that existing holding. And if it was held in retirement accounts, we can sell it all at once and then diversify it. If it's in taxable accounts, we'll take into account the taxes. But you can do the same thing for yourself, Alex, and just quit flopping around to different strategies, because then you're never giving yourself time to catch traction and see that compounding growth work.
Now, there is one thing I'll throw out there, and I think that the present volatility has really brought this to light. A lot of people will get to the stage in their financial life where they recognize that the gravity of their financial decisions is so large, they begin to get uncomfortable. Not that they don't necessarily know what to do or how it works or that sort of thing, but they just want to make sure that they've dotted all of their I's and they've crossed all their T's. And so you might find yourself at that place where, man, okay, there's a lot of volatility and I want to make sure my portfolio is correctly aligned and I think it's good, but I just don't know for sure. Or maybe I'm so busy and I'm not focusing the time and attention on this thing that I should be focusing on this thing. And I really wish I had someone to help me think through those, or it's just gotten complicated and I don't know what I don't know. If you find yourself in one of those three areas, or maybe you find yourself in pieces of all three of those areas, that might be a very good indication. Hey, this may be the time that I should consider taking the relationship to the next level. Maybe I need a co-pilot to come along with me to help me make sure I am making the right decisions and thinking through things the right way and moving in the right direction towards my ultimate goals. That's what we call the abundance cycle around here. You learn, you apply, you grow, and then you reach the point to say, man, okay, I'm ready for someone to help me take it to the next level. So if that sounds like you, maybe this is the time that it makes sense to consider reaching out and connecting with an advisor.